What's going on, guys? Steel here, and I had actually already recorded this, but I had an update on my computer last night which broke all of my audio settings, so my microphone wasn't working. But anyways, today we're looking at a top-tier German SAM system called the I'm just gonna call it the FlaRakRad. I don't know, the RAD. We're gonna call it the RAD flak wagon because it's rad. Yeah, truck. It's one of their more unusual vehicles in the game, as they say. So, this is based off of the Mon truck. I thought it was called Menkati or something, but I'm just trying to think back to war game vehicle names and stuff. This is basically Germany's Patriot system, which has me wondering, are we gonna see a Patriot system? Because these vehicles are purely defenseless to themselves. Although, actually, the Roland missile has quite a lot of explosive, if I remember correctly, from my experiences with the Swedish version, which can actually penetrate things with a semi-heat warhead, or I've heard the actual Rolands have quite the explosive punch, so they should actually do pretty well defending themselves. However, you're in a truck, and it's definitely going to get hull broken. It's definitely going to get strafed. And it's huge. Obviously, it's an 8x8. But it gets Roland 3s out of the box, which I believe the Roland 3 missile is an upgrade to the German Roland and French Roland, I believe. It could be a Roland 2. I don't remember. I'm not in game. But it gets an upgrade, which is a VT1 missile with a 12-kilometer range. And someone I was reading on a Discord is doing some digging, and apparently in real life it has a 15-kilometer no escape range, which means that you're kind of dead in 15 kilometers away. So Gaijin might be bringing seed in this patch. Don't know. We're going to do a podcast episode after one more Devblog. So after tomorrow, I would assume they're going to do a Devblog tomorrow morning. We're going to do another episode of the podcast. And we're going to do some more predictions and stuff based off of what we've seen so far. And we're just going to generally talk about the next update. So, getting that out of the way, it's going to get a VT1 missile, which I assume, again, is an upgraded missile. As you can see here, there's the camouflage. There's no video for them showing it off. So, in game, it's going to have 12 kilometers. So they say here, when it's covered, blah, 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 provides perfect protection for the team from air targets. Immediately after purchase, the vehicle will have Roland 3s, which are, I think, 8-kilometer missiles. And after research, is capable of mounting VT1 missiles in battle. These have a radius of up to 12 kilometers. They have a speed of about Mach 3.5 with a high available overload. Now, someone actually did some digging, and I believe it's 35G or something until 8 kilometers. So it's actually a very highly maneuverable missile, and then after the 8 kilometers, it isn't as maneuverable, so it'll be, I guess, more precise when it's attacking a very far out target. The air defense system has equal or greater chances in confrontation with any air targets, including helicopters. So this is going to be a K-50 remover, and it's obviously defenseless again unless you use the missiles to dirt people, and it comes with 10 missiles, which I believe the Roland comes with 6 or 8, including the ones that are already mounted in the middle of the game. I'm not sure. But I was actually gonna have a mini rant. Oh, someone made that, but there was a lot of battlecruiser comments. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Shut up. Fucking, we don't need to break naval even more. Because now we're going to have new issues coming up in tanks I can foresee with something like this. So now, if Germany and Russia are paired together, this means Germany has the highest the longest range, fastest SAM missile in the game, coupled with the Russians, which have one of the best close range defense systems in the game, the Tunguska, and also obviously it has the capability of 10-kilometer missiles. American and British helicopters aren't going to exist if Germany and Russia are on the same team, coupled with either Italy, France, or Sweden, which are all powerhouse nations at top tier. The French a little bit less so, but the Swedish definitely, the Italians definitely, especially if they get a helicopter tree, they'll be a major nation, in my opinion, if not already. So if Germany's on the American side, this would be really good against the Russians, like NATO versus Russia. This would be a really good vehicle. However, I still see the Germans and the Russians stomping America and Britain even more into the ground, because when you have a matchmaking where Britain is pretty much only able to be coupled with America unless for some reason there's enough Russians in queue, and that's NATO versus Russia, right? If you have the Americans and the British with already somewhat mediocre helicopters, considering that the Hellfires have been very buggy, the whole rendering range with the helicopter locking, like when you lock onto a tank and you're at a certain distance, the game does not render that tank above the terrain, which is like unrendering because of its far terrain and stuff, because of the game engine's capabilities. You already can't really fire Hellfire and then fly yourself into a protective area where you try to minimize your risk of being spotted. Also, the brackets around helicopters makes this even worse, but that's not even the worst part. The fact that you have two of the most capable nations in game in multiple ways. You're now going to have German players with the ability to cover their air defense, their airspace, the match's airspace, if we will, to cover their teammates with 12-kilometer missiles that go 3.5 Mach and are virtually unescapable. Okay? And you couple that with the Russians, which have helicopters that have a slightly less than 10-kilometer range on the Vickers missiles, like with the K-15, K-52. The fact that this vehicle would be able to protect them when they're on the same team means you have, also with the Russians having the Tunguska, you have two of the most capable air defense systems in game able to protect helicopters that the Americans can barely engage themselves. So the only way I can see of balancing this out, the only way, would be if the Americans got the Patriot system. Because the Americans would be able to make helicopters just as threatened by SAM air defense as the Germans would be to the Americans and the British. Because if Germany and Russia and then their powerhouse other nations tacked on versus America and Britain with only a handful, I mean, the British tech tree is not an offensive nation. The VFM helps, the Roycat kind of sort of helps, although it's not modern enough ammunition for 10.7. It's not gonna be good. So this vehicle, while it is cool, it's funny that it's a truck. This thing can probably blap an MBT and destroy tracks and gun barrel with it, although simultaneously being able to be hull broken possibly. But the fact that this is going to be coupled with the Russians most of the time at top tier is kind of scary to me. Because, again, two of the most capable AA systems and the most capable modern helicopters with missiles like the Vickers on the same team versus a nation with a tank destroyer, because Gaijin still labels the ADATS as a tank destroyer, albeit its tank destroying capabilities have been severely limited by the fact that it can't fire missiles on the move, doesn't have a stabilizer, and it's hull breakable in the turret by any ammunition that you can have at top tier, means that it's going to be more expensive because it's not a dedicated AA in Gaijin's eyes, and it costs more. It's a pretty big profile, very similar to this. And the ADAS missile also behaves very weirdly for weird reasons. It doesn't like to destroy things a lot of the time unless they're helicopters. Means that this is gonna be pretty bad. So if they've got other stuff in the works, I pray that it's a Patriot system, because the ADATS just simply isn't sufficient to deal with a combination of aerial threats and aerial denial threats like this. So it's cool, and I know German players have been wanting something at top tier, and I'm all for you guys getting a better missile system than the current Roland. But you just have to remember that you are playing with another. Germany is a powerhouse nation. As much as people want to pretend that having 1 2A5 means that they're shit, because they're not shit. Germany is perfectly capable. America has more MBTs to throw at the wall because they're fighting alone. So if it was Germany versus America and Russia for the past 2 years of top tier, then Germany would have 2 2A5s, a 2A6 or something, or like a 2A4C, a 2A6, and a 2A5. It would have been the other way around. So the fact that German players want to pretend that they're a shit nation, you're really not. And this thing definitely reinforces that fact. Germany working well with Russia has been a thing for like 2 years now, and I mean, America's always kind of relied on their casts at top tier to win, considering that they're outnumbered in country and kind of outclassed in ammunition by, like, say, the Italians and the French and the Swedish to some extent because of the CV90 120 and armor, or like just America doesn't synergize with anyone. They don't really synergize with Britain because Britain can't support Americans on most of the maps that we play on. They sure can on something like Eastern Europe, where they have plenty of sight lines, but then again, they can just get clapped in the side by a K-50 because the Americans can't spawn in an ADATS because it's too expensive to spawn in after you die in your Abrams. So you have to spawn into an ADATS at the beginning of the game, try not to get shot, and work something out. So yeah, congratulations, Germany. You asked for something, you got something, but if for whatever reason you think that Germany is subpar, you're dead wrong. Because this thing definitely makes Germany have the most powerful AA in game. SAM AA wise. Not a gun. I understand, doesn't have a gun, but this is quite ridiculous. If Russia got the Panzer system or America got the Patriot system, then I would say it was pretty balanced. But right now, according to the Devblogs that we have seen, Germany has the most powerful SAM site in the game. So after that rant, which kind of goes nowhere, but I hope you guys can see my point in what I was saying. Fuck, I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, I'm pretty much done ranting about this thing. Like I said, we're going to do a podcast episode after another Devblog comes out. So after 4 of them, we should see something for everybody. So like every kind of tier. I don't know. It's been mainly just tanks right now. But if this is going to be a big update, then there's going to be a lot more Devblogs. So we're going to get working on the podcast after the next Devblog, and we'll just go from there. So stay tuned for more Devblogs, guys. I'll link this in the description as always if you want to take another look at it, although there's not much. And as always, I'm Steel Wolf, and I'll see y'all next time.